Alright. Welcome to Sideboard MTG. My name's Eric, and today I've got another deck tech for you. This is Jund Monsters, but it's not the list you're going to find online. This is a deck that I built after listening to a podcast by Patrick Chapin and Michael J. Flores, and there should be a little eye up in the top right hand corner if you guys want to check that out. Anyway, this is my version of Jund Monsters. I hope you guys like it, and if you want to see the live stream, I will be doing live gameplay very shortly after this comes out. So if you're watching this in a few days, then there should be a live replay available for you guys. As always, like the video if you like the deck, so more people can see the deck, and if you like the content in general, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about the deck here a little bit. Alright, so it is a lot like the Jund Monsters deck that top 8'd in SCG Dallas this past weekend, and there was a lot saved from that, and I wanted to start, I just started brewing after listening to Patrick Chapin and Michael J. Flores, and if you go over and listen to their podcast, you'll hear quite a bit about Thrashing Brontodon, and they made quite a few really good arguments. And once you start bringing in these Thrashing Brontodons, you don't exactly need as many Abrades anymore. And then once I got into that, we cutting some Abrades did cut some removal, and that did worry me a little bit, but Unlicensed Disintegration, it seems like it's going to be good, and we're going to be running the playset here. So as far as removal goes in the main board, all we have are 4 Unlicensed Disintegration, 1 Abrade, and 1 Magma Spray. Oh, and did I mention Glorybringer? I count that as removal. Alright, so let's go back over here to the lower converted mana cost spells here. We've got 4 Merfolk Branchwalker. I really wanted to try to find something else. I really wanted 3 power out of it, as we are kind of a Heart of Kiran deck. Kind of a Heart of Kiran, not 4 Heart of Kirans, but 3 Heart of Kirans, and Heart of Kiran is very good for us. It gives us yet another flyer. We have 4 flyers, and gives us the ability to give pseudo haste to something like, say, Rekindling Phoenix, which we run 3 of here, and it's a really good card. Now, I like Rekindling Phoenix. I am still a little on the fence with it on whether or not it's good in our current meta. I just don't know if we're going to be running into too many Vraska's Contempts or something like that. So Rekindling Phoenix, one of those cards for me that I'm not 100% sure on, although the card is really good and it is a very aggro card. So Rekindling Phoenix definitely in the deck. Now, you're going to see a couple spells that are a little off here, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about those, and that's going to be the Driven to Despair. Now, until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. We needed a little bit of card draw, and without blue, that's not exactly the easiest thing in the world. And we have a couple other options in the sideboard, but we're also a little bit short on trample. Now, trample's not as important for us because we do have a lot of flying, but being a little bit short on trample, I wanted to make sure that I could get through some blockers and things like that, and being able to draw a couple extra cards is very clutch. Now, we don't have a lot of ways to really hurt an approach deck, but this Despair on turn 5 or 6, if we can connect, can really like just destroy Approach's plan if they haven't gotten their approach off yet. So I do like Despair, and again, we're really weak to Approach. It is one of the weakest decks, or one of our biggest weaknesses, and that's mainly because we have a real hard time casting double black. You'll notice that black is mainly in the deck for Scrap Heap Scrounger and the Unlicensed Disintegration. Now, Unlicensed Disintegration is great here, and it helps us remove like some of those God Pharaoh's gifts with haste. We can remove things at instant speed. It also gives us another answer for things like Glorybringer of the opponents. So that's a really good card there, and it allowed us to actually shave some Chandra's Defeats out of the sideboard. Now, the Scrap Heap Scroungers, Heart of Kiran, and Pia being a 3 of here. Pia absolutely great with another card that I'll talk about in just a second. but these are your artifacts for turning on your Unlicensed Disintegration. Now, granted, more likely than not, you will cast this from time to time as just a murder, but instant speed, destroy target creature is kind of what we're looking for here, and since we can't get into the double black, having Unlicensed Disintegration over Vraska's Contempt is kind of good for us. Now, that did kind of bring up the argument to turn this into a lightning strike, but we're gonna take our extra 3 points of damage here, and I know it's not Vraska's Contempt, but you can redirect that 3 points of damage to a Planeswalker, so that is kind of handy. Now, a little bit of counterintuitive interaction here. If you're eating cards out of your graveyard with Scrap Heap Scrounger, you don't have as many to bring back with Journey to Eternity, but I actually had more success with Journey to Eternity playing this deck than I had with decks that I had built around Journey to Eternity. It seems that being able to just sacrifice your Scrap Heap Scrounger to PNLR is an extremely powerful effect. Or if you've put it on a Thrashing Brontodon, and then you can pop a, let's say, Search for Azcanta, a Danto's Vanguard, one of the many enchantments that might be out there. This is really, really good. I was overwhelmed by how easy it was to make Journey to Eternity work. And then At Soul, I believe is what everyone's calling it, is just really, really good. Anyway, the deck runs the 3 Glorybringers main board, and then 1 Atali Primal Storm. Let me read Atali here. Now, this particular slot, before I do read it, I do want to say, if you have another Elder Dinosaur that you would like better in this slot, by all means, throw in your Tezzimok. Yes, it's going to be a little hard to hit that double black, but you can probably hit it by turn 6. We did increase the black count in the deck from the original Jund Monsters list to kind of attune for that sort of thing if you do happen to need more than 1 black source. Now, Atali is what I went with. I liked Atali because I think it's a little bit more card advantage. However, Tezzimok could be some removal, and Ghalta, which you can easily get down very cheap in this deck. Ghalta could also just be a game finisher. Now, you're not going to give Ghalta haste unless you're, giving it pseudo haste, swinging 4 with a vehicle or something, but that's not exactly what we're looking for. Also, if you did like, you could throw a Carnage Tyrant or even a Sky Sovereign Console Flagship would fit really well here. I do like all of these cards, as we don't have a real problem getting 3 for crewing. I am a little bit hesitant to say I have not had a lot of luck with the Merfolk Branchwalker as far as getting to 3 power. I continue to draw lands. However, that's normally not that bad either. I'm normally very happy to have the lands, and even though we're sacrificing a little bit of damage, I've been pretty happy with the turnout with Merfolk Branchwalker. And even though I was looking for a way to maybe throw Aether Hubs and Glint Sleeve Siphoner in the deck, I think that Merfolk Branchwalker is kind of where we want to be. Alright, so let's look at the sideboard here. Let's see what else we've got. We've got 1 Chandra's Defeat. Remember, we were able to cut down on the Chandra's Defeat from the sideboard because we do have the Unlicensed Disintegrations. Now, that brings us to a couple new cards here. I'm definitely excited to have an Angrath in the deck. Now, Angrath, yeah, you may or may not like him, but he's actually really good against another mid-range strategy. His -3 is extremely powerful. If you don't believe it, go check out the Grixis Walker's deck I did. Awesome, awesome gameplay with Angrath. Chandra, just a kind of must-have card. It's really good card advantage. You bring it in against the control decks, or maybe even against some of the grindier mid-range decks, and allows you to remove a pretty good-sized creature, or you can ramp, draw extra cards, not necessarily draw, but get more card advantage. Terrific card. There's just so many great things you can say about Chandra. Plus, getting her down on 4 and then ticking her up, if she gets away from the opponent, then it's just game. Hour of Glory. Now, remember guys, I said it was really hard for us to hit double black. So, I got to thinking, alright, we have to have an answer for the Scarab God. there's not really a lot of other things that we can use. The main reason we would be bringing the Vraska's Contempt in anyway would be Hazoret, the Scarab God, something of that nature. So, Hour of Glory it is. 1 black, 3 colorless, exile target creature. If that creature was a god, its controller reveals his or her hand and exiles all cards from it with the same name as that creature. So, hey, if you're holding a backup the Scarab God, it's gone now. And if you're holding a backup Hazoret to pitch to Hazoret or something, that's also gone. So I really like this card. I know it doesn't hit a Planeswalker, but we're kind of aggro and we can really get into the Planeswalkers there. Now for Graveyard Hate, also something that's really good against the Scarab God, but against God Pharaoh's Gift decks as well. Deathgorge Scavenger, really good, especially if you can just come down, eat the God Pharaoh's Gift on turn 3 before they can refurbish it back. You've set them off a couple more turns, and then that'll give you a couple turns to actually get in there and clean up the graveyard, which is really powerful. Plus, if you're eating non-creatures, you're probably profitably trading with most of God Pharaoh's Gift's deck, and then if you're eating creatures, which you might want to be, you're gaining life, and that is really good. So, I like Deathgorge Scavenger. I'm not coming off the 3 of, and it's just a really good card. Now, in the more aggro matchups and things like that, we've got a couple copies of Sweltering Suns. It seems to be the card to use to wipe the board right now. That 3 damage is more than enough. I do want to mention that our Brontodons do survive through that, so that is a big positive right there. Brontodons can survive through this board wipe, then swing in, and that's really good. Alright, a card that I am super excited about, and it's really good in the aggro matchups and against control decks. Like, it's almost main deckable, however I just didn't have room for the main deck. So if your opponent is not a heavy aggro deck that doesn't have spells, then you can bring this in. So as long as he has spells like Lightning Strike, things like that, it'll be great to pull those cards from your opponent. You can use that removal, Fatal Push, all of these really cheap actions you can take from your opponent with this card. Against control decks, grabbing a Glimmer of Genius is broken. Drawing cards is terrific, and when you can grab something like that from your opponent, that is just awesome. Now, drawing cards is great, and that's why we've got a Lifecrafter's Bestiary in here. Now, Lifecrafter's Bestiary, definitely a great card. We do have a high creature count, so we can really utilize this, and I do like the card. I don't really want to see it in multiples, even though, you know, you can trigger it in multiples and draw multiple cards. Most of the time we're wanting to play those cards, and our stuff's kind of expensive. So when I did have 2 copies of it, I did see that I was hitting it with multiples sometimes, and I just didn't have the mana to cast, you know, my Glorybringer and be able to pay for 2 Lifecrafter's Bestiary triggers. Alright, so that's why I went down to 1 on this. The Direfleet Daredevil gives you a little bit more option when you're wanting to draw cards against those control decks. If they're drawing cards, then that's going to give you the ability to draw cards. Not to mention, you're going to exile that card. So, you know, if you get to play this and pull back their Glimmer of Genius or something like that, it's gone. They're not going to get to bring it back later. Alright, Aethersphere Harvester, must say a few things about this. It's an easy swap out, but you can also move this in instead of maybe one of your Brontodons or something like that if they don't have targets for the Brontodon. Personally, I like the Brontodons, but Aethersphere Harvester can profitably block Glorybringer. You crew after the Exert, and then you just, well, not profitably, but you block the Glorybringer and it lives. You can gain the 3 life. Yeah, you're probably going to lose the creature that's going to crew this up, but there's a lot of really good interactions with Aethersphere Harvester. Also, it increases the artifact count. I had to keep a couple artifacts in the sideboard. I noticed that once I had cut the second Lifecrafter's Bestiary, I didn't have as many artifacts to bring in, so I really wanted to find another artifact so it also fits in with that, and that's kind of the reasoning behind having it other than we're going to be able to get that couple points of lifelink, yeah, there's not a lot of other energy production here in the deck. Matter of fact, that is the only energy production in the deck. However, there are, you know, a lot of other really good interactions in the deck. Pia Nalar, man, with the death of energy, Pia Nalar has definitely risen up. She is definitely as good as Whirler was. You're always getting that Thopter, even if they can remove her. It's terrific. Guys, I hope you like the deck. I'll be back here in just a little while, and we're going to be streaming this live. It is a daytime show, so there will be Lincoln present, but most of you understand how that goes. So, if you like the deck, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel in general, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, check in the description box below. There's a lot of ways that you can support the channel, and we'd be happy to have you as part of the community. Check out the Reddit, post your decks. We'll see you on Subscriber Sunday.